Jocelyn Verse, and today I'm going to be reviewing Escaping Exodus by Nicky Drayden. I received an advanced reader's copy of this book a while ago, around the time when I first started my channel, and I sort of did a written review then, but I reread it recently. I'm going to be discussing it with Ashley of Bookish Realm, Erica of the Broken Spine, Bria of the Loc'd Booktician, and Harley of the Cerebral Hedonist on my channel, September 29th, 8:30 p.m. EST. And so I did a reread, and I think it's just going to be nice to give this review closer to the production quality that it deserves. I will include links for the live discussion in the description box down below. So Escaping Exodus, it's set in a future where Earth isn't habitable anymore, and humanity is basically survived by living on these giant spacefaring, they're always called beasts. They look kind of like gigantic whales mixed with squid. There's a few classes of people on this beast. There are the Contour class, who are the elites, the ruling class. Then there are the Accountancy Guard, who are these people with heightened senses who are in charge of making sure that no resources are wasted. There are the Beast Workers, who do maintenance work on the beast, and they work on all different parts, from the bones to the organs, and there's different prestige associated with each, and sort of the lowest is like the people who clean the bowels, and the highest are the heart workers. It's very skilled, very specialized, and very deadly. And then there's sort of like the unspoken class, the grisettes, who are in their early teens, around the same age, and they don't speak. They're very important, and they're not mentioned a lot, and it's very important why they aren't mentioned. This is a world that was really built around the idea of scarcity and temporariness. Throughout one person's life, they're gonna hop beasts a couple times. Families have been sort of redesigned so that everyone could have a child and the beast would still be relatively sustainable. A family is considered, I think it's 6 husbands, 3 wives, and 1 child. I just found it ironic here that the polyamory is coming from a place of scarcity. Just because I'm not polyamorous, but like from the people I know who are, often talk about polyamory as happening from like a place of abundance and abundance of love. The way the society is structured, basically women are in charge and men are in the more subservient role. Attractions just kind of happen between genders, and it's not really a big to-do. It's following Sasuke, who's in line for the throne. She has a childhood friend, Adala, who she has deep feelings for, and she's realizing that her feelings for Adala and the political marriages she's going to need to make to secure the throne aren't necessarily aligned. And it's about Adala's struggles to understand her place in this beast and the social structure that she's always lived in. It's a dual perspective novel. It's alternating points of view between Sasuke and Adala. We get to really see how Sasuke's and Adala's lives parallel each other. Both of them are sort of dealing with what it means to have a sister. Both of them take a lower class lover who invites their parents' scorn. Both of them are learning about the social inequality of their society and trying to mobilize against it. Like this book, I was just hooked from beginning to end. I was really invested in it. I really want to know what happens next. I think I've read all of Drayden's novels at this point, and in her bio she says that like she's from, where is it, Austin or something, and it's a requirement to be weird. And I feel like that really comes through in her writing. I feel like she's really in her element when she gets to do these like strange, otherworldly things, and there aren't a whole lot of restraints on what she can do. And so I felt like this was really the perfect setting for that. She gets to navigate this beast, which is almost like an Osmosis Jones effort. Like they get around by tunneling into flesh and like walking through veins. And I feel like the world is really interesting and very unique. I always kind of have issues with Drayden's endings. I feel like she's really good at the twists and the turns that come like throughout the book and keeping you engaged, but it feels like when it's time to like get all that sort of tidied away or give some sense of closure, finality, some ending note, that things kind of get dropped or things get kind of really crunched. Like I remember reading this the first time and being kind of lost. And so some things on this reread made a lot more sense to me. And some things still felt a little neat, a little anticlimactic, but there is a sequel coming out. There's a sequel coming out, I believe it's in February of next year, which I am very excited for. And when I read this the first time, I didn't know a sequel was in the works. So knowing that there's a sequel changed my opinion of the ending. So if I had to describe Sesuke, I'd say she's very frustrating as a character. I mentioned her in my Bad Bitch Readathon recommendation video, and like while looking back on it, I did overstate some things. I don't think it's 3 fake marriage proposals. I think it was really only 2, and to be fair, one time it did kind of sort of work, but I'd say that for the most part it still stands. She is kind of harebrained, she's very impulsive, and I'd say she's selfish, but she's also open to learning. I think that what's great about Sesuke is that she is willing to try new things. I'm going to be honest, I really liked Adala a lot more than Sesuke. Sesuke is a very memorable character, and she causes a lot of drama, which is great fodder for the story, but I just really felt for Adala. Adala just thinks the world of Sesuke, and I don't know if Sesuke really deserved it, to be honest. Adala goes through a lot throughout this story in terms of how Sesuke treats her, in terms of how her family treats her. But I also want to say that I think that Adala is morally a little simpler in how she handles things than Sesuke. I think Sesuke takes a bit longer to learn and to adjust, and that's why I'm frustrated with her, whereas I feel like Adala is a lot quicker to pick things up. I'm kind of curious, why Drayden chose to do that, why we have this one character who feels to me a lot more flawed than the other. Like I said, it made for great drama, but I just did not understand Adala's attraction to Sesuke at all. I did not understand Adala's faith in Sesuke as a leader. But hey, the heart wants what it wants. So Sesuke has a sister, Kasina, and I think that's really why I have issues with Sesuke. The way that Sesuke treats Kasina really grates on me. Sesuke and Kasina's birth was like a big thing. No family is supposed to have 2 children. Kasina was supposed to be born first, and she was supposed to be the only child, but Sesuke was born prematurely, and that flubbed everything up. And now Kasina is preferred by the matriarch of the ship, and so Sesuke is kind of like, she's in line for the throne, but like, also she's kind of illegitimate, she's not supposed to be on the throne, and that causes all this turmoil. I feel like Kasina's treated kind of poorly. Like, she can't really be with the family, like she doesn't even have a name. Like, Kasina's the name she picked for herself, but other than that, everyone just calls her sisterkin. And like I said, in this world, sister is kind of like a curse, so poor Kasina. And we don't get to know a whole lot about Kasina. We know that she does really love the matriarch of the ship and that she is very determined. And Kasina definitely thinks that she would be a better leader. But I also don't think that Sesuke is being honest when she describes what their relationship was like. Like, I think Sesuke thinks that she was being a lot nicer than she actually was. Like, there's one point where Sesuke, in front of Kasina, is talking to her mom, is like, why didn't you kill her? Why did you keep her? She's not even supposed to be here. And I was like, now Sesuke, you can't honestly think you're gonna say this in front of someone and that, like, it's all gonna be good. And, like, I don't think she ever apologizes to Kasina for any of the things that she says. And some of the stuff that happens is just kind of outside of Sesuke's control. But I just know that bad things happen to Kasina, and a lot of the bad things that happen are kind of in the shadows. It's one of those situations where I think the things that aren't said are really, really loud. And so, while Kasina is just as flawed as Sesuke, Kasina is probably way more ruthless than Sesuke and way more committed to being a ruler, in all honesty. I wasn't really mad at it, and it sounded like Kasina really did just want to be a part of the family, and really did just want to be in Sesuke's good graces, and it sounds like Sesuke just continually flubbed it. When it got to the point where Kasina is like really coming for Sesuke, I was like, it is what it is. And I think the other thing that grated me about Sesuke was who she jumps to defend, and who it really takes her a while to wrap her mind around that, like, they're valuable and they're important as well. So, like, early on, Sesuke sort of understands that the beast is an entity that needs to be respected, that has a life outside of the people inhabiting it, and that they are harming by living on. but there are people who she still just kind of views as pawns, and that cut a lot. But I really loved Adala and the Beast Workers. Just Adala is just beefy. She's really strong, and she at one point goes to hang out with some bone workers, and the bone workers just walk around titties out. They have like decorative scars on their bodies. They shave their heads, which is like a big thing because the braids and the hair are very, very important. The beast workers are really rough. They're kind of handsy. They fight a lot. They intimidate Adala, and they kind of were gonna jump her at one point. But just like, I don't know. I just love I don't know. I just love that part. And Adala is sort of like navigating that subculture and sort of finding a place in that. And I'll just say the connections that she makes there. So editing Chloe here. So in earlier versions of this video I was filming, I was just like really having trouble explaining why I enjoyed Adala and her time with the bone workers so much. And I was just like, big burly warrior women. What is drawing me to these big burly warrior women? And the answer is, I'm shallow and they sounded hot. And yeah, that's really it. I mean, they're cool. I just might be overstating how cool they are because I think they sound cute. So that was it. That was all. So there's a lot of commentary that happens on gender and misogyny through this role reversal, and I picked up on a lot more of it during this reread. I think that in general it's interesting and well done. A lot of that commentary happens through Sasuke's relationship with Wait, who's the first male accountancy guard. It's like a coveted position, and he's dealing with sexual harassment, discrimination, all of that. And also Sasuke's relationship with one of her suitors, Doka. Some of the things that she says to him and some of the interactions that they have form the bedrock of the gender commentary that happens. I think a lot of the issues that happen with what if men and women switch places thing is that it's just been done so much. So like, it feels like some of the commentary that happens is just a little played. But I felt like because there's so much more going on in this story in terms of sexuality and stuff, and because there are characters who like, there aren't any trans or like non-binary or gender non-conforming characters who get like a major role, but like they are known to exist and they are talked about and discussed. I felt like that was really kind of what made it feel more fresh. I felt like there were like a few instances where the commentary slipped a little just because it's based so much on like our world, but the opposite, that sometimes it felt like, would this actually happen if things were switched? Sometimes it felt like, wires were kind of being crossed, but on the whole, I thought that the commentary around that worked well. There's a lot of themes about, having to learn and adjust to social change and unlearning certain things. Like Sasuke has a lot of unlearning to do. Doka has a lot of unlearning to do. Adala has a lot of unlearning to do. Everyone's kind of on a journey. I felt like Adala was closest to being the moral center of the book, but really no one's a moral center. There is gender discrimination among the characters. There's class discrimination. I think it just felt very real in that way. And there's also themes about like environmentalism and conservation. The way that they've been living on the beast really damages the beast and kills it prematurely, and they're sort of running out of viable beasts that they can live in. And that just seemed to be very obviously linked to climate change and the realities that we're dealing with today. And I thought all those themes were very interesting because this is a society that is very cognizant that things can't be wasted, and still it's interesting how the society is still unequal and unstable. And I think that the reason they run into those issues are because of who's asked to make those sacrifices and who's asked to live in scarcity and for what cause, and like whose life is valued on the ship. I'll leave it there. So thank you for watching. If you want to comment on anything I said, please do so. I'd love to talk about it. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you want to stay up to date with me and my bookish activities, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Goodbye.